Hey guys, one of the most important things that you can do with your iPhone photos is understand how to best edit them and post-process them. Photos that come from an iPhone are great, but being able to use some of the third-party software can really step your photos up to the next level. So today we're going to learn several things about how to use a piece of iPhone software known as Snapseed. So let's get to it. Snapseed was a software that was produced by a company called Nick, and it was purchased by Google. And so it's currently a Google piece of software, and it is perhaps one of the most highly used pieces of post-processing software on the iPhone that I know of. It is one of my go-to pieces of software when I just want to quickly edit and make some of my pictures look really good. Today we are going to take a small dip into learning about Snapseed. And the reason is because Snapseed is a pretty comprehensive piece of software on the iPhone. You can do a whole lot with it, but today what I'm going to do is show you how to bring up an image and then start editing it and just do a few things. We're going to learn how to straighten, crop, change the tone, sharpen the image, and a few other things as well on Snapseed. So let's get to it. All right, so one of the first things you're going to want to do is go into your photo library and pick a picture to edit. And so what you're going to do is you're going to type or press on that little plus button there, the add button, and as I press on it, it's going to allow me to choose where I want the picture to come from. I could either take a picture with the camera, go to the photo library, paste an image from somewhere. Right now I'm going to click on photo library. And I'm going to pick the one picture that's currently in my camera roll. So tap on that and tap on that picture right there. Then you click on the Use button right there, and that will allow you to use the picture. Now from this point forward, I'm going to edit the picture in landscape format. And the reason for that is because sometimes I will run into a picture that is more landscape than portrait. So I'm going to flip the iPhone right now, and we're going to start working with it in a format that I'm more used to. All right, on the left-hand side, there are a bunch of different ways to tune the picture. And as you see on the left-hand side, there's automatic, selective adjustment, tune the image, straighten the image, crop, there are details and things like that. So there's quite a bit of choices on there. And within each one of those, as you're going to see in just a little bit, there's quite a bit of choices as well. One of the first things that I suggest you do is straighten your image. And from that point forward, then you're going to do something else. And so let's go ahead and click on this button right here, is straighten the image. Now, as you take a look at this, you'll see a grid. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make this a little bit larger so that we can see it even bigger. So let's do that. Boom! Okay, very nice. Well, what we're going to do is we are going to take your finger and you basically go up or down here, and it will rotate the image slightly, 10 degrees either to the left or 10 degrees to the right. Okay? And you have a grid line which kind of helps out. Right here there is, and this image was rather straight already, but let's say that it was crooked and it started off this way. Then what I would look for here is like a horizon line like that. And then I would want to line it up with that grid line eventually. So I would kind of move my finger until it looked right, and that looks pretty good. You'll notice at the bottom over here that there are two arrows, and that will allow you, if I flip the right arrow over here, that will allow you to actually rotate it 90 degrees all the way around till, whoop, we're back. Okay. By the way, on the upper left-hand side, there is a question mark. And that is super helpful on any place that you are at. Let's go ahead and tap on it here in the straighten, and you'll notice that it's got all sorts of really cool directions for you. It shows you, it'll preview the what's there. You can swipe up or you can swipe down in order to straighten your photo. Tap here to cancel. It gives you all the information that you need. And then when you want to get out of here, you basically tap anywhere on the screen. So let's say that we tweak it like that. If I tap this upper right-hand thing here, it's the preview button. This that's what it would look like as I hold on to it. When I let go, we're back to that screen. So I'm going to fix this back to where it really should be. Okay. Once you've got it the way you want, you click always. Now, if you don't like what's going on, you click that cancel button and that'll get you out. But if you do like what's going on, you click on that button over there and that will sort of enter it, okay? The next thing I would like to do typically is not tune it just yet, and that's crop it. And there's a reason for that. When you tune an image, sometimes you change adjustments and colors and balance and things like that. And then when you crop it, you might be losing some of the things that you worked on. So it really makes sense to crop it first. So we're going to skip this tune image and we're going to go directly to crop and tap on that. Okay, now we can crop things and make it at a different ratio. If I just take my finger and I go on one of the edges, so I'm on the right edge right now, I can crop this at any ratio that I want. I can make it more square. I can bring the bottom up if I want to by just dragging my finger on that particular edge, right? However, let's say that I want to either print this or I want it to go to Instagram or something. Then what you do is you tap on that right there, and those are locked aspect ratios because right now it's in a free mode, okay? So it's in a free mode, which is just what you saw me do. So I'm going to tap on that little icon there, and now you've got all these different aspect ratios. You've got a 1:1 aspect ratio. You've got a 3:2, or that's a 4:6 aspect ratio. 4:3, which is what the iPhone takes a picture of, 5:4, etc. Today I'm going to choose the 16:9 aspect ratio, and then I'm going to tap on just somewhere else, like right around there, to have that thing pop down. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my finger, like right about in the center or so, and I'm going to move my finger up and down, left and right, so that I can get the crop that I like. And I kind of like that right now. I can also stretch it left if I grab one of the left corner, and I kind of like how that's looking. That's a pretty good balanced thing. So I've got some material over here, which is negative space. I've got 3 ducks coming in, and I'm sort of balancing it over there. So I'm going to click right here, and then I'm going to lock that in. And that's already a nice looking picture as it's going on there. The next thing now is I'm going to tune this image, and you're going to see there's a ton of stuff in any one of these squares. So I'm going to click on there, on Tune Image. And now here is where you, it takes a little bit of finesse. If I take my finger and I put it right on the screen and I move the finger up or down, look what happens. I get these different qualifiers, right? Different ways that I can then modify. So if I drop it off on brightness and then I lift my finger up, now I am now modifying the brightness aspect of this picture. In order to change the brightness, now you go sideways, left or right. So if I go to the and watch, there's going to be a number here that's going to change. Okay, so if I go to the right, the numbers get higher, and you'll notice that the picture is getting brighter and brighter, up to 100. If I swipe to the left, then the image gets darker and darker until it gets back to 0, which is normal, right? And then if I keep going to the left, I can make the picture even darker again to 100. So that's how you affect brightness. And for this picture, it was more or less, it was okay. It was a decent amount of brightness. I'm going to move my finger up and down, and this time I'm going to change ambience. And I really like this. This is a cool effect. I'm going to swipe my finger to the right, and I'm going to increase the ambience. And look what it does to the picture. It just kind of changes things in a way that, I don't know, it just makes it a little more sparkly, and you can decide what level of ambience you want. If you go to the negative side, it changes it in a very different way. So really, depending on your taste, just decide where you like it and what looks best to you. I'm going to move it to the next one, which is contrast. I always like a little bit of contrast in my pictures. If you go too far, in my opinion, it gets really strange, right? So I don't like to put a ton of contrast in there. I always like to just touch it with just a little bit of contrast. And for this picture, that one looks pretty good. I'm going to go on to the next one, saturation. This picture has potentially a lot of color in it. If we go, again, too far to the right, it can get way too cartoony and strange. So I'm just going to touch it once again with just a little bit of color, but not too much to make it just too odd. I think right there for that one's good. Then I'm going to go to shadows. Shadows are great, especially if something is backlit or something is a little bit dark. This particular photograph doesn't need it too much, but I'll just show you what it does when I slide it to the right. Notice it's bringing up only the dark areas, and it's not blowing out the light areas, which is what happens if you just increase the brightness, right? Everything gets lighter. Well, on here, if you have certain areas that are dark, it'll brighten up those things, and you'll notice the grass in the background doesn't change as much as the foreground. But I actually like that foreground a little bit darker. It gives us some nice dynamic interest. The next one is warmth, and basically that's exactly what you think it is. If you go to the right, then it makes it like a lot warmer, which makes this kind of look like a sunset. If I go in the other direction, it takes away warmth and it makes it a lot cooler. So this is one way that you can sort of white balance it by deciding what color temperature it should be. And you know what? I kind of like that a little bit slightly warmer than it was, and we'll give it sort of like a sunset look. That's pretty good. Then what I'm going to do is click the button over here and say done for that. So we have done straightening, cropping, and tuning the image. The next thing we're going to look at is something that I think is important, and that is the details. And if you click on the details, you can do a few things, and this picture needs it just a little bit, is sharpening. And the two things you do here are sharpening and structure. So I'm going to sharpen it just a tad, a bit off to the right. That kind of helps. And then you can mess around with the structure and just, again, go to the right, go to the left, find out what you think looks good for this particular picture. All right, so for structure for me, I'm going to go to the right, and I'm going to go, about right there. I'm going to click on this again to lock it in. So those are the ones that most people are going to want to use, but there's a couple other that I think I'd like you to show you. One is called HDRscape, and this is really cool. It's right here. All right. What it does is it actually emulates HDR, high dynamic range photography, where you're taking 3 or more bracketed photos and you're stitching them together. But let's go ahead and tap on that and see what it does. Now at 85%, it's a little bit too much. And if I go all the way to 100%, it's definitely much. It's got that sort of painterly, odd-looking look to it. So I'm going to drop it down until it's something. Now, if I go to 0, right, that's 0. It's not being affected at all. But if I drag my finger to the right, I'm giving it just a little bit of HDR, and maybe like that is okay. And so I'm going to go ahead and click out of it, and it put it in. The final thing I want to show you is really cool, and this is, again, to taste. And my last thing that I usually do is using this in Snapseed. It's called center focus, and let me show you how that works. When you tap on center focus, there are 3 things that center focus can do. What you're going to do is you are going to tap somewhere on the picture. All right, so I'm going to tap right there, and it puts a little blue dot. I can take my finger then and drag that blue dot to where I want the focus to be. If I had an object, and let's say the object was right here, and I wanted to focus on that, then I would tap and then move that blue dot to that particular object. This time I'm just going to leave it sort of like right about there. And let me show you how it works. I can take my finger and backwards pinch, and on that circle, I can increase or decrease that circle. And you're probably already seeing the effect of what's going on. I'm going to leave it somewhat small so you can see the effect in a drastic way. There are 3 things that you can affect. You can affect the blur strength, because there's actually some blurring going on, the outer brightness, and then also the inner brightness. So let's deal with all 3 of these. First, the blur strength. There's blurring going on, and what that means is if I were to take my my circle, then everything outside of the circle starts to blur, and you may not be able to see this. And oh, by the way, this is really powerful if you're doing a portrait and you keep the center over the person's face, so things outside of the person's face start to blur. I'm going to go super extreme and make these edges over here blur by increasing the blur strength right there. So let's take a look to see that. So the blur strength, I'm going to go all the way to 100%. See what happened to the ducks and to everything around the edge? It's almost like a very soft blur. And the thing that's in the center, which is where this is nice and clear. So if I move that thing around, I can change what is sort of the focal point of the picture, just like that. There's obviously something else going on as well, and those are the other two things. There's an inner brightness, which right now is set at plus 30, and I can make that inner brightness even brighter, or you can take down that inner brightness so that the inner part of the image is actually darker. I personally like to leave this at 0 or just a tad above 0, but not much more than that. The last thing is one of my, and I wanted to show you right here, is you can change the strength by tapping on that. And when you tap on it, it can make the blur strength, as you can see, really blurry. Tap on it again and it goes back to a weak implementation of that particular thing. The last thing, let me go to my blur strength, by the way, and let's not keep it at 100. I'm going to actually keep it kind of low, because just sort of a hint of blur. The last thing is my favorite, and on almost every single one of my photographs, as I do portraits, weddings, landscapes, I always like to touch it with a little bit of a vignette on the outside. Not too drastic, well, sometimes a little more drastic than others. But I like to put a little vignette about it. And a while back, I heard a quote by Ansel Adams, and he said, "A photograph is never finished until I burn the corners." And if you look at a lot of his images, you'll notice that the corners are just slightly, the term is burned, where in the darkroom he put a little bit of a darker area. And what that does is it focuses the viewer's eye on not the edge and trailing off of the edge, but more on what's going on in the picture. So for that reason, I like to do the outer brightness, and I like to pull that down. Now let's see what happens when you go in the other direction first. If you pull that outer brightness in the positive number, you'll notice it's sort of got this, it's almost like there's a fog or a halo around it, it's an interesting look. But let's go back to 0. I like to put a vignette, and for the purposes of this training, I'm going to go to 100% negative on vignette so you can see what is actually going on. So I'm going to go to 100%. So as you can see, there's like a crazy amount of darkness going on, and now I'm going to pinch that circle, and you'll see that by changing the circle, you're changing where the vignette begins, okay? And so you can keep it really way out there, really wide if you like. I usually keep it like at about a medium or so, but then I don't have the vignette super strong. This is a great example also. If I were to move this thing around and I really wanted to highlight an object over here or an object over there, that's how you do it. Again, this is extreme just so that you can see what's going on, but usually what I would do is decrease the amount that's going on. And so I would take my finger and I would bring it closer to 0, just like that. And actually, that's quite a, usually I'll start at 0 and then move it until I start to see a little bit of vignetting going on. Right about there, I'm starting to see just a tad of vignetting going on. And again, I can do the pinch thing and change how far in it goes. And for this particular picture, I kind of like that. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click the right-hand side right there. Click. And we are done. When you're done with everything, and again, there are so many other things that Snapseed will allow you to do, but I think these are some of the key ones that you want to do. Straighten it, crop it, kind of tune it a little bit, deal with the color, and then do some of the things with creative focus like I showed you. Then what you do in order to get it back to your camera roll or send it out is tap on that upper right-hand corner there. And now you can save it to your photo library, Google Plus, or however you have it set up. I typically like to save it to my photo library so then I can then do whatever I want with it from the particular photo library. Okay, well, there you go. I hope that was helpful for you and a nice tutorial on the basics anyway of Snapseed. Go ahead and download Snapseed, play around with it. It's a great little program. It's one of my go-to programs every time I take a picture and really want to tweak it up a little bit and maybe send it up to Instagram or Facebook. and just make it look a little bit better than the original picture that comes from the camera. I hope that was helpful. Hey, if this tutorial was helpful for you, please do me a couple favors. Number one, head over to pocketlenses.com, the website, and you'll find there lots of tutorials, both video, audio, and written tutorials on how to take and make great pictures with a smartphone and a compact camera. Also, please do me a big favor and subscribe to this YouTube channel. The reason being is because I'm coming out with videos all the time, and if you don't want to miss anything, then you want to be subscribed to my channel. Okay, hopefully that was helpful for you. Take care and get out there and get shooting.